Welcome back to the APA. It's a Saturday morning and we're recording. We don't really have normal recording days anymore. I think it's just whenever.
It's just a day that ends in Y, baby.
You guys seen any good bands lately?
Yeah, that's a matter.
Could that be a reason why we didn't record normally this week?
Listen,
Quite possibly the reason.
I'm not pointing any fingers here, Zach.
Look, I'm okay with us having not recorded then because I had a paper to write. So
Right.
Fair enough.
See, we all did it. We did it for Josh, actually.
Yeah, it's Josh's fault.
Yeah,
I ended up
you
going
all
to
went
sleep.
to King Giz for Josh.
Yes,
Yes,
we
I ended
did.
up going
We
to
did.
sleep
Yeah.
at 9 o'clock and then woke up at 4 and wrote the paper. So
We dedicated our tickets to Josh while we were there.
We did. We did.
appreciate it.
You were definitely on the forefront of our mind while we were sitting there watching King Giz just fucking slay.
Really hope I was not.
I love you, but you weren't. I love you, but you
Well,
weren't.
now I'm hurt.
Well, I
you were
do that
kind
to
of in
people.
the back, rattling around there some, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say you're in the forefront, but you were still making echoes.
They
through
ain't
there,
worried
you know?
about you. Get out of here.
They're not worried about me.
I am, but I mean, like,
King
I was
Gizzard
focused.
King Gizzard was awesome. They slayed. They played a nice set list like that covered 10 albums, you know, so
So a year and a half
couple
of
years,
their
yeah.
catalog.
no,
Yeah.
they actually went back a lot further than I expected them to.
Like
so
the
it was
first couple songs they played, I had never heard. I was
Yeah.
like, oh boy, okay.
I mean, I'd imagine that's not hard for them to do, though.
Well,
Yeah.
I
I mean-
but I've been a little, I'm not going to say obsessed, and listening nearly nonstop recently.
should, though.
But
because
maybe
you
I
are.
Yeah, they had a lot of their early stuff, you know, some of their middle stuff. Was very light on their late and recent stuff.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
was.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, it's a band, and they recently, in October of 2022, whenever you're listening to this, put out three new albums in October
Yeah.
for the show that we went to. This got like a couple days ago.
Also in October.
Also in October.
yeah.
They only played, 2 songs from Iron Lung. Well, no. Magenta Mountain was from not the 3 new releases.
Well, they hadn't had time to learn them yet, you know?
Right. It was cool that they played one of my early favorite songs of theirs. Like when I first was getting into them, like the song that kind of got me into them was a song called "Crumbling Castle,"
Yeah,
and they played
Polygon
that.
Dwanaland.
Yeah,
that
and it
had
was-
that and Fourth Color. Both of them.
Yeah, it was
from that.
great.
Yeah.
Y'all, the
great.
dudes behind us
The
lost
names
their
of King
fucking
Gizzard songs.
mind when that song came on. Like
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna have like a heart attack.
They played something from Flying Microtonal Banana.
Yeah. Another album,
Fuck off.
Zach.
I feel like you're just trolling me.
See, I don't
Like,
even know if they're trolling or not.
Here's
Yeah.
a troll. Here's a troll. There's one album that's called Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, Lava.
Shut up.
Yes.
dude.
Yeah.
It's
IDP
great.
LML for short.
It's great.
Yep.
And then like laminated denim. I
Yeah.
love that. It's hard for me to say, but I love it.
This is a cult.
I saw a really good band recently. Actually, I just got back from Nashville last weekend,
Oh, right on.
and obviously I went. I saw a lot of bands. Right? It's like you can't
Like country.
it's like no. I mean,
Oh,
Nashville
okay.
had all
More
kind
than
of music.
country has played in Nashville.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
not
that's the way
aware.
it works.
You
A lot
gotta
of shit gets
prove
played in
that.
Nashville. But one night I just like walked like a block from my hotel just to get like some food, and of course like every restaurant like it's like a
Bar.
pub type. It's got
they got
bands playing
musicians.
or whatever, right? And this was like not on Broadway, not on the main drag or anything. It was like just like a little hole in the wall street with like several bars on it. And there was this band, and it was like a trio, and it was like you could tell these dudes like grew up playing black gospel in the church, like clearly, right? Like it was a bass player, an acoustic guitar player, and the third guy would beatbox and then loop the drum beat, and then he'd be playing like some sort of percussion instrument as well for the
Nice.
beats. But they were doing like 3-part harmonies on songs. Like it was all mostly covers. They played like 2 originals, were really good, but 3-part harmonies on tunes that you'd never heard 3-part harmonies on. And it was awesome. and they were called the Magi. So shout out to the Magi. They were really great. I really enjoyed them. But
But
here's
how
what
many
like
albums
that
have they
name.
released this week?
Yeah.
Probably zero. Probably zero. But speaking of releasing an album, 2 bars down on the same street, like not even a block. Like I'm talking about two buildings down. There was this huge line all night to get into this other bar, and I could not figure out like what the fuck. Why were people standing in line to get into this dive bar? You know. Well, it turns out that 2 blocks down, not 2 blocks, but 2 bars down from where I was spent all night, fucking Taylor Swift had released an album and was signing albums inside this other hole-in-the-wall bar in Nashville. And that's why there were like hundreds of people lined up outside to get in.
Did you go get your shit signed by T Swizzle?
No, I didn't go get no T
You
Swift
didn't bring
shit.
my record collection
Oh
with
my
you
God.
to get signed?
I don't
Terrible.
give a fuck, dude.
Terrible.
But it was interesting. Though.
You're sleeping on that new Taylor Swift, bro.
Oh, Tay-Sway. She's no.
Tell me about the new Taylor Swift. What's your favorite track on the new T Swift?
It's her new dark album. It's called Midnights, and she like gets
Are you for
electronic with. Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't realize she had. Okay, I was.
I
The celestial pomegranate.
I would listen to that.
That's a King Gizzard song.
Yeah.
I can't
Have
tell
you
you my.
listened to it for real?
I have listened to a few tracks on it. I keep up with it because T Swift is Aaron's favorite, like from
No
her
doubt,
childhood.
of course, yeah.
And so I text her. I was like, "How's the new Taylor Swift album?" She's like, "Oh my God, Dad, it's awesome!"
Yeah.
And so she gave me
Naturally.
a couple. She gave me a couple to listen to. I mean,
you know, that's
it's
really
Taylor
sweet,
Swift.
actually, dude.
Yeah.
That's really sweet, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a couple of T Swift songs that
Listen,
I
Matthew
think, you know,
loves Taylor Swift. Like, we had like a real big contention. Like, I made fun of him. He was like, "Motherfucker, listen to the songs." And I was listening. I was like, "Okay, well, actually, this isn't bad."
So I just
Yeah.
pulled up the album first time. I didn't even know it was a thing. About half of the tracks have explicit labels on them.
Oh,
Yeah. She went in, dude.
Yeah.
Does she
She's-
drop an F bomb?
She said, "Fuck you,
I mean,
motherfuckers."
dude, you think Taylor Swift doesn't curse like a sailor, bro? Come on, man. That's just an image, you know? Like,
Well, that's what she's shattering. She's shattering that image.
listen, good for her. Like, I may check it out. They put it up on Spotify. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't going to stand in line for 3 hours to get her to sign an album I've never heard.
Okay,
That's
all
fair.
right.
That's
Okay,
fair.
we're gonna diverge just a second. So on the way down to King Giz, I was listening to an episode of APA, the one where we just went up, like the most recent one that's out currently. Anyways,
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I know when Ziva and Mike went up and saw the two.
This is the
exit
most
kits.
recent episode that's out.
Shut up. Listen.
you're
when we
listening
went
to
up,
this, it's
when we
most
went up,
recent
and we saw that the exit and and everything, and you said at one point, you know, I came in like a wrecking ball with that one exit, and in my mind, as I was listening, all I could see was Miley Cyrus merged with an exit, like just swinging across the room.
How
And-
fucking cursed is that? Dude? Get out of here.
I had to share it with y'all because it's in my brain.
Yeah,
if I'm
so now
cursed
we
with
have to
it.
experience
Well,
as
no,
well.
that's
you go.
exactly the image I was trying to conjure with that. So I'm glad that it
Was
worked for
it?
you.
Was it?
did
Oh,
it.
yeah?
Yeah.
Calculated, huh?
But what I'm
was, it
saying
was.
is, I want that art. So fan art, please.
It's just a Bantrid with those little like top ponytails and flabby chicken wing butt cheeks.
Yeah.
Dude, you just went in on Miley Cyrus.
You had to go over the girl's
Chicken
butt
wing
cheeks.
butt cheeks. Oh my god, dude, what?
Listen, Miley's doing her best,
It's a,
okay?
you know, it's a good thing Miley's never gonna hear this.
Listen, Miley
think
Cyrus is
she'd laugh
actually an
at it.
avid listener, and she loves this. She loves it.
Is she though?
I
like to
would kick
pretend.
it with Miley, but like
yeah.
them, like
But that booty ain't good.
it ain't getting it.
It made me spit my coffee a little bit.
Let's pivot to body shaming Miley Cyrus on the show.
Let's not do that.
You know what?
Let's-
Veto.
Let's make a choice to not do that. How about that?
Actively move away from that decision.
Okay, well, I guess we can play some Starfinder then.
I have coffee in my nose.
If we can't realize our true calling, then we can.
Before that,
play some
I've been
Starfinder.
listening to the first track off Midnight's, It's not bad.
Well, now I'm gonna listen to it. Okay.
It's
All right,
not
yeah,
bad.
I'll listen to it. We'll see. We'll see what's up.
We'll put it in my ear holes. And with
Not
that,
right
that
now.
what we're doing?
Because right now we
Segue.
got to play Starfinder, guys. Come
Yeah.
on, focus up.
Yeah.
Oh,
now we got to put
Sorry.
Starfinder in the people's ear holes. I did it. There you go.
Thanks. So, do you guys remember what's going on? You guys
I
got
don't have a damn clue.
The world's ending.
We're playing Live and Let Fly.
getting there.
Going to
Wait,
the
no,
world
no, no.
ship where Bantrids have reemerged from.
Okay.
That over... It was a pre-gap thing that happened, yeah?
Yeah, like way
Way
previous,
pre-
millions
way.
of years.
Pathfinder.
Yeah,
type
so like
pre-Pathfinder.
they're
Like-
off into out in Narnia doing their stuff on their lifeless ship, or I guess it's still life sustaining, and have reemerged, and we're heading to there.
Yeah, Hib. Or the moon formerly known as Hib.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, you guys came here to rescue Weldy and found out that a much bigger situation was happening, and basically, what was once the full planet of Jeterat, like, was a full Civ base, you know, and that it's waking up and it was sending a signal to Hib, which you've then deduced that Hib is likely to be
The world seed.
the World Seed, which was a generation ship that was going to be sent by the Civ to go like out and populate other galaxies, but there was a revolt from the Bantrids, who were the enslaved race of the Civ, and they revolted, and like through great sacrifice, almost all the Bantrids died. But before they did, they sent a bunch into the World Seed, and the leader of the revolution launched the World Seed before the Civ were ready, and as thus all these Bantrids went into cryostasis and was like lost to the skies for a while. Well, it got caught in the orbit of Liavara. Bunch of stuff started piling around it, and it became the core of what you guys now know as Hib, which some years ago, about 7 years ago, was recently awakened or populated by a bunch of Bantrid who just emerged out of the ground, out of these towers that were there, with no memory of anything. And so it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Immediately at this point, you guys have turned off the quantum signal and are headed back to the cabin to talk to Miss Knott, rather, about what you found and everything like that, and get yourselves probably ready to go to Hib to investigate this further. But let's start with you guys back at the lodge talking to Miss Knott. And we'll just say that, you guys kind of share everything. They were watching through.
Yeah, they had the camera, right?
Yeah, right. And that, like, basically, Miss Knott, who is a representative of Abadar Corp, wants you to go to Hib as a investigating team for Abadar Corp to continue investigating these ruins that, what was it sending to Hib? What was happening? What's the result of this signal, right? That was being sent to Hib / the World Seed. And she has a contact there named Uso, who is Bantrid. He is one of Abadar Corp's associates in the city of Starward. And he is an executive assembly member. Do you guys want some more information about Hib? Like, trying to kind of like figure out how to move forward, because there's like, what do you guys want to know?
So real quick,
do
I'm
you have
sorry.
any questions?
What was the name of the Bantrid contact?
USO. USO.
I threw an extra U in there because I'm fancy, but okay. Yeah, so any kind of additional information about Hib, maybe that's not just surface level information, you know, like...
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information I can give you, but we'll start with that.
I mean, can we, like, roll some checks or something?
Yeah, I'm going to give you kind of what everybody in the Pact Worlds would know, and certainly what Ziva would know as a politician of Absalom Station and having kind of long-term goals of being part of the Pact World Council and all that kind of stuff. And everybody, all of you would know this bit anyway, that it was a shepherd moon of Liavara. It was once considered to just be a dull, dreary, and most of all, extremely smelly lump of rock. It had little interest to anyone except very particularly and peculiarly dedicated astrobiologists. Then in 313 AG, scores of massive vault towers, not unlike the ones that you just explored, moved by some unseen force, rose from beneath Hib's surface. Many of the towers were damaged by time, neglect, or whatever, but there were a handful that still functioned, and when they moved to the surface, they just disgorged an entirety, the whole of all Bantrids, like, came out of these towers. And the Bantrids themselves have no memory of anything that happened before, you know? And so there's this weird dynamic now where Bantrids are positioning themselves to be integrated into the Pact Worlds, but there are a lot of different factions on Hib within the Bantrids. And at this point, culture check. So I can give you some information about the geography, the society, some of the conflicts and threats that are on Hib, and then some of the notable locations. What are you guys interested in?
Okay.
I'm thinking
culture
conflicts
check.
and
I'm going to do
threats.
that now or ask
Sure.
first?
Yeah, no, good. Yeah.
Oh, what a garbage roll. 36 total.
I mean, that's still plenty good.
I rolled a 2 on the die. So
Right. But you have a crazy amount of bonuses plus an
Yeah.
extra D6. So, like, you know, it all washes out. So the big question for Bantrids right now is what is their identity? Like, you know, what is their society? And they're all trying to, like, kind of figure that out. Some Bantrids, you know, individualistic Bantrids have left Hib and just immersed themselves in the other cultures of the Pact Worlds and, you know, just kind of figured out the galaxy. But there's, you know, a big part of the Bantrids that stayed on Hib. They want to find their own identity and avoid being absorbed into any more culturally pervasive societies. They don't have anything against the Pact Worlds, but it's just not theirs. You know what I mean? And so there's this huge gap of, you know, forgive my terminology there, but of knowledge of who they are and where they come from.
even more so than other races and species.
Right.
From
Everybody's
the
got that a little bit because of the
Yeah.
gap. But
Yeah.
But
Right.
like, we know where they come from now.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
y'all
do.
know, but like,
Yeah.
nope, that's not at all
It's
like.
not common knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this
It's
is
Of course, it
recent
will be
discovery.
after this footage makes it off of. Right?
yeah,
Like,
well-
that's kind of messed
So
up.
the footage
right?
that you guys
That
have
we
was not
have been-
attached
Yeah.
to the press.
Yeah,
This
that was
is
just
this is
for the
directly for
researchers.
So we have this horrible secret of their origin that we have to carry with us, essentially.
right. So it might be important to know what these different factions are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can navigate that, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to construct this shared culture, and you know, some are trying to set out to write the great Bantrid novel or choreograph the great Bantrid ballet, you know. But there are 4 social movements that have gathered.
the Bantrid Bob Dylan.
Right. They're looking for the Bantrid T-Swift, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Cultural touchstone, you know?
right. There are 4 social movements that have gathered a critical mass of adherents, okay? There's the Republic of Hib, the Abadar Corp Hib, the Unbroken Sphere, and the Church of Sleep.
I'm going to need you to repeat that.
Republic of Hib, Abadar Corp Hib, the Unbroken Sphere, and the Church of Sleep.
Thank you.
The largest of these factions is the Republic of Hib. And they are a digitally mediated democracy modeled loosely on the Barathu confluence. The Barathu are these creatures that are like really gross looking. They kind of look like brains or like crustaceans, and then have a bunch of tentacles that like
the space jellyfish.
It's grosser than that.
They're native to Liavara, right?
They are within. Yeah, I think so. They were the first to make contact with the Bantrids when the Bantrids came out. So, Republic of Hib is kind of this democracy that, as I said, it's modeled after the Barathu. And the Confluence is already keeping careful watch over its Laverian cousins. It surprised no one when the first outsider Bantrids met were by a Barathu delegation. But the Barathus were friendly, they have a message of cooperation and unity, and the Bantrids enthusiastically accepted that. And they put those ideals into action. The Republic is formally a representative democracy with an elected college of framers. It uses personal electronics to put questions of law directly to the electorate. The College of Framers has the important duty of framing these questions. About half of all Bantrids consider themselves members of the Republic, and they're heavily involved in the creation of the new Bantrid identity. Well, Abadar Corp arrived close on the heels of the Barathu confluence. And since then, Abadar Corp Hib has grown into the planet's second major faction. The Abadarian Bantrids tend to be pragmatic, if not a little pessimistic, believing that the first priority for Bantrids is to develop an economy, not a culture. They are keenly aware that Hib has little in the way of natural resources and no real industrial base aside from a few ancient vault tower manufactories. The Abadarians fear that if Bantrids can't become economically useful to the rest of the Pact Worlds, they will forever exist on impoverished periphery, doomed to lose their best and brightest to emigration as Hib stagnates. Therefore, the Abadarians search for any angle or economic niche that could let Hib become a full member of the Pact Worlds. Approximately a third of all the Bantrids support the efforts of Abadar Corp Hib.
So they're like Hibbertarians?
Yeah, pretty much. Not really though, because they're expecting the government to be heavily involved in the economics, and that's going to be how they put themselves on the map. So they're extremely capitalist in that sense, just because they feel like that is their only way that they can be taken seriously.
I feel like the Abadar Corp Hib come in after you said they came in after the Republic was formed? Or like they're the second faction?
Republic of Hib,
nice Republic you got there. It'd be a shame if somebody corrupted it with our money.
The Unbroken Sphere is a much smaller group formed in reaction to off-worlder influence on Bantrid society. Spherites believe that Bantrids were once a highly advanced technological species who designed the vault towers. Many of the planet's inhabitants, including Bantrids and other species, also hold this belief. However, Spherites also think ancient Bantrids ruled the Pact Worlds and created many mysterious technologies.
Bantrid supremacists, no!
I can't wait to bust that bubble.
That they created many mysterious technologies in the ruins that dot the system. This philosophy becomes truly dangerous when Spherites insist upon Bantrid superiority over all other intelligent species.
Yep, there we go.
and claim that Bantrids are destined to cleanse Hib of off-worlders before taking to the skies and conquering the rest of the system.
All right, and the seeds of the war have begun.
And guess what, guys?
problematic.
We're gonna have to kill some of them bad boys. I'm telling you, I'm calling it right the fuck now.
Oh no!
More space Nazis. Oh no!
Right.
First off, can we just remind the listeners, Bantrids are small creatures with a weird, like,
Roly
organic
ball butt.
roll.
Yeah, they're like knee height.
They are small. Yes,
Yeah.
they are
They
small.
are?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
keep misunderstanding that because, like, I do
They
not
look
see them in
big.
my head as small,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
They are small creatures. Yes.
Like,
First
what,
time I
3
saw
feet
the
tall?
art, I thought they were large, but they are small.
They are small.
Oh yeah.
They're like the worst supremacists ever. Then it's like you're
All
clearly.
I can think of are the little, I don't remember their names, but the little pixel guys from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah. Yes.
The Moonanites. The
Moonanites,
Yeah.
The Unbroken Sphere is still puzzling out how to realize all of these assertions, but most believe their ancient forebears must have left advanced superweapons on the moon specifically for these
Surely.
purposes. Spherites are characterized by their xenophobia, anti-theist tendencies, and willingness to resort to violence. Publicly, the Unbroken Sphere claims itself a peaceful organization, but Spherite cells have orchestrated many terrorist attacks and murders of off-worlders.
Bro, they literally just made that shit up out of
Well, I mean,
they're
that's
like-
kind of the
they're-
basis
they're-
of all.
they're
All
right, except about
supremacists,
one-
yeah.
yeah, they're right, except about one key factor there is that
So-
it wasn't them who was the
Emphatically.
all-encompassing,
Yeah.
So, but I will say this before I forget it. The scary thing is they do have access to, like, horrific weapons because these towers were designed to hold the Civ, right? I mean, like, they were designed to hold the Bantrids as the workforce for the Civ, but, like, surely there's still, like, weaponry and whatnot available
right?
for on
They
this one
have,
ship.
they have
you know?
access to civ tech that they falsely
Yeah.
believe they created.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
There you go.
Super dangerous.
So let's talk
Okay.
about the Church of Sleep.
Yeah, they're the death cult, right?
Pretty much. They're the smallest and strangest of Hib's factions, and they believe ancient Bantrids entered stasis to avoid a dire apocalypse called the Awakened Nightmare. However, since the computers malfunctioned and woke Bantrids too early, they believe that the apocalypse is imminent. The sleepers urge their followers to return to stasis, and their missionaries are a common sight across Hib. Roll another culture check on the sleepers specifically.
Okay. Okay. 45.
Okay.
Midland.
Midland. It
Midland
is.
roll.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty bad.
So, you've heard talk kind of in some of the secret channels and maybe even through some of the information that Kuiper gathered through through that his access to spy network and stuff like that, that the sleepers consider their mission dire enough to justify kidnapping others, including both Bantrids and off-worlders, and forcing them into stasis for their own good. The question of who to rescue first is subject of vigorous theological debate in the church, but most sleepers agree that they should prioritize protecting the most innocent and vulnerable
Oh, God.
Bantrid children.
Oh, God. So they're literally stealing baby Bantrids and shoving them into
Kidnappers.
sleep pods.
Yes.
Yep.
There's
Cool.
like only one of these that's okay.
Yep.
Yeah, like,
So,
Makes our
look,
decision
oddly
know-
enough,
easy.
Hold
Abadar
on.
is not
Yeah.
the worst of these.
No, not
Yeah,
at
like-
all.
And I want us to try to remember that Abadar Corp is not the same as like our perceptions of evil corporations. There are evil corporations in this universe, but
Edge
Abadar
Corp.
Corp, Edge Corp,
Eclipse
Eclipse Innovations.
Yeah.
Like Abadar Corp is a corporation, and there's certainly ethical things that come with just being a corporation, but they are decidedly neutral.
Yeah, they're not
And
wholly
they-
inherently bad.
Right. And they do a lot for a lot of people about helping them manage economics. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so they're not great because they are a big business, but they're not inherently evil either. You know what I mean? And I do think that grabbing an economic foothold is at least a reasonable position to take.
Yeah.
Now where you land on what is more important, culture or economic strength, that's a political decision, but I don't think it's evil.
Yeah. And so the reality of it is they are trying to establish a connection and ingratiate themselves to the Pact Worlds to join the Pact Worlds. And if they don't have an economic foothold, it is harder to do that. So, I get it. I understand it.
Yeah, I agree with that. The two that I can take seriously are the Republic and Abadar Corp Hib. The other two are just terrorists.
Just awful.
They're fucking jokes, both of them. They have no idea what the hell they're even talking about.
Right. They're completely misinformed. So the biggest
kind of
thing...
like real life.
Right. The biggest conflict on the planet is really between the Republic of Hib and Abadar Corp. Hib, and both factions do believe that it is imperative for Bantrids to develop their own identity, their own society, and their own place in the larger Pact Worlds, but they obviously differ over the best way to accomplish these goals.
And what's prioritized.
Right, and the Republic of Hib is doing a lot to gain cultural independence and gain that sense of cultural identity, and so that is their biggest goal, and again, Abadar Corp is looking for economic independence to gain political independence. It's been a loud and heated but civil debate between those two so far. They both have strong ethos of dialogue and negotiation, and they both know they're playing for public support. Not to say that representatives of the Republic or Abadar Corp won't try the odd dirty trick, but the issue is a debate, not a war. The Unbroken Sphere and the Church of Sleep, however, are much more dangerous. Both of these factions have relatively small core memberships, but their followers are still quite numerous, willing to risk everything and supported by networks of silent sympathizers.
Kind of like real life.
Yes. So there's a lot going on in Hib. And with the Bantrids, At this time, I will tell you that there are 57 vault towers that have been identified, although some think more might exist beneath the soil. And
all right, the next 57 episodes, one tower per episode.
One tower at a time.
So Miss Knott wants you to go investigate for Abadar Corp and meet one of the Abadar Corp Hib representatives, Uso, who sent her a message saying just recently that some of those subterranean portals that are still the towers are up, but the big part of the towers are still underground in Hib, and that some of the portals that have been closed for basically when the Bantrid all emerged, they all came out, and then once they came out, the doors to their stasis pods or wherever they came from closed, and they couldn't, no matter what they tried, they couldn't get them back open. Well, recently they've reopened, but Uso, Miss Knott tells you, it's all right, y'all. Uso is an interesting character. He really, really cares about the future of Bantrids and their identity and does not want to be exploited, which is why he actually has worked so hard to become one of the representatives of Abadar Corp Hib, because he kind of wants to make sure he's on the team with Abadar Corp discussing what Abadar Corp is going to do. And I respect that, They have been able to hold off investigation for now because they are very afraid that this might result in some technology that could be useful for the Bantrids establishing their own economic foothold, and worried that others could get in there and exploit it or take it, turn it against them.
Yeah.
One thing about them that I just got to give you a heads up on, he likes to sing as he talks. It's kind of a weird thing. but
I love
they
it.
get.
Sounds
like to
Jovial.
sing,
You shouldn't have even told us.
And the
You should have just
Juna
laid it
and
out
the
for us. You know?
But anyways, I would like you to go there and meet them, and see what you can find. I mean, you have direct knowledge of what's going on, and it's kind of sensitive information. I mean, we're about to upset the entire dynamic of the Bantrid
Order of things.
Yeah, and well, I mean, you are the Apollo Protection Agency after all. Your reputation does precede you, and I know.
What better envoy of this information than our politician friend here?
Yeah,
So-
Councilwoman Ziva.
As all of this is kind of like being discussed and she's asking us to go, like Ziva is furiously thinking about like the ramifications of this information, like how this is going to impact, and also the fact that she's specifically asking us to go and speak to, although he is a although they are a Bantrid, they are with a specific faction. Right. So do we, as the Apollo Protection Agency, share this information evenly with all of the different factions, or just two of the largest? What's the, like...
I don't think that they'll believe us.
Fair
I
enough,
think
but...
some of them might. I don't think that the Church of Sleep or the Unbroken Sphere will
Yeah.
be buying the fact
I've gotta
that
agree.
the
I agree
Bantrids
with
were
that.
created as a slave labor race by the Sith.
Right.
But is it more like... What is better for the Bantrid race as a whole, for the Pact Worlds, for Hib, for Leovara, you know, like the surrounding areas? Is it just to share the information openly, or to share it specifically with certain individuals like Uso? And or do we know who like a faction representative for the Republic is?
You do. You would, like, you could find that out. However, right now, Uso is the one that is in control of this particular tower
Gotcha.
that has woken up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, if you want access to that tower, and like, you can choose to go through that tower and then say what you're going to say. You know, like, it's up to you guys to determine how you want to do that. But you know that right now, the faction that is in control of the tower that has woken up is the Abadar Corp Hib.
Okay, and when you say it recently, is that within like since these towers here on
basically you can connect and triangulate that the signal that was coming out of that tower is the cause of that.
Gotcha. All right, then that's our first. Yep.
Yeah, I think to your point though, Emily, like, I mean, the sort of combined like moral and political ramifications of this situation are really delicate, and like the more fair and egalitarian thing to do, you know, would be just let that information out, like let each Bantrid or citizen of Hib decide for their own what they want to do with it. It's the icky thing to me, I guess, is that it is there. It's limited information now that can be used as a tool, you know, to kind of get what you want and maneuver it. And I don't love that. But it is powerful, you know?
I guess on this information, knowing that there is a recent situation on Hib, that these portals are opened up, you know, Ziva's kind of like contemplating all of this and running it through her like sort of political filters and her cultural references and all these different things. And she's gonna, you know, this is all internal, you know, she's kind of thinking like, until we know more about what is going on right this second in that tower on Hib, this information is incomplete. So to share it now would be detrimental to the whole of Bantrid society. We need more information before we share it with the public.
Smart, 100%.
So maybe that's her and my own personal, like, trying to justify keeping this information, but That's how we're going to go with it. And that's essentially what she would say to the rest of the crew. And I guess
think,
Miss Knott.
I think it's kind of a if you want to come out with your hands clean and your morality feeling okay, like it's kind of a lose-lose, because I feel like whatever you do is going to cause some form of chaos.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's the nature of the beast.
Well, and it being faction-based, like if you share it with a couple of factions, the other factions are, for one, going to not believe it or choose not to believe it, but also, like, be angry that, like, why didn't you share this with us? You know?
So Ziva would definitely say out loud, you know, until we find out more information about what is actually happening with these opened portals on Hib, we should all keep this close to the vest. Miss Knott, and I'm assuming, like, the rest of the research, the Xeno Wardens are here with us. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Like,
oh, we're here. Yeah, I'm here.
Wake up!
I feel that this goes without saying, but we will say it anyways. This does not need to leave this room. As of right now, this is a very sensitive and delicate situation that is still evolving. We are not fully aware of what is occurring on Hib and what is occurring with Bantrids across the Pact Worlds. So let us keep this to ourselves until we have figured out a bit more of what we are doing. Are we agreed?
Yeah, I think that's wise. Well, I mean, yes, we can sit on this for some time, but we must. This is too big to not share. This is the truth about the Bantrids.
See, here's the thing, though. Yeah, it's so big that it could cause untold amounts of death if it were to get out too soon and in the wrong way.
No, I understand. It's difficult for me as a warden to not share these discoveries.
Well, no one is suggesting that we withhold this information. It's just being that we have this information, we can control its release.
But who are you to control its release? Don't they all have the right to know their roots?
We don't have all the information yet. Once we got everything, then it should be. I think it should be public knowledge.
I think
but we're not there yet.
To share what we know currently would be a disservice to the public, because it is nothing more than brief snippets of information. We do not have the full picture, and if you only show a small section, that will incite fear and riots, and that is not at all what we are wanting to accomplish here. We want to provide the information, but with the full scope of the situation.
Yeah, and look, I completely understand how you feel here, but we do hold a great responsibility having this knowledge, and so there's a certain amount of responsibility we have to consider as far as how to release that information to create the least amount of harm. So we don't want to destroy your people with this information. What good would that do? Right, that's counter to the entire mission.
I understand. I do. And I will keep this information quiet for now. But be wary of being arbiters of truth. This is not your history to share. This is the core of what Bantrids have been trying to seek, and while it might be disappointing and even disruptive for them, it is their history.
I agree. I mean, I don't. I wish we could just release it right now, but I worry about the repercussions. But I promise you, at some point, like before too long, we've got to let this out.
Essentially, we just need to. We need to go to Hib. We need to assess the situation. We need to speak with this Uso. And once we have a firmer grasp on all of the available information, then it will be time to share the full picture with everyone.
So when you say everyone, you you are including the Republic of Hib and the Unbroken Sleep and all.
Ziva sees this as a full-on like release to the faction leaders to like let them know, and then honestly, I mean, why wouldn't we just send the information to the infosphere? You know, a full-on media.
So here's the thing that I just want you specifically to consider, Emily, as Ziva.
Okay.
Everything you do has political ramifications. You know what I mean? And so you're talking to two extremely important and well-known factions, the Xeno Wardens and the Abadar Corp right now, you know?
Yeah.
Why would the Xeno Wardens not be the ones to release it, considering that's kind of their gig?
That's why we're talking to them, asking them not to now.
Well, I'm saying, like, when the time comes, that why wouldn't that they should be the avenue that the information comes from, based on not ours but their discoveries, because you were working for them.
And not some
That
fucking
is true.
It's not Ziva giving this information out.
It might be better received coming from them, you know?
Right, yeah. That's a very good point.
We're all kind of in this, like, we're all in the know here. They know as much as we know right now, so that's kind of why we're having this conversation.
Right. Well, it's a difficult
conversation. They could give it up at any point, you know?
No, right. And so, but now you see that Miss Knott is a little, she's like, I mean, I understand everybody's points here, but we've been working very hard to establish the Bantrids as their own species and their own culture. And if we give this to everybody on that planet, then that work gets undone. It's going to go into chaos, and
what's more important, that or the truth?
And while I understand your trepidation, I respectfully disagree. If they are trying to establish their own history, their own culture, their own foothold in the Pact Worlds, having this information, once we have all of the available information, it may be disruptive, but on the whole, it will help mend the Bantrids.
A society that is in a full-out civil war cannot then become a Pact Worlds member. They're going to be in total disarray. This is, I'm troubled too. I get what Tala is saying, and I respect that from a human standpoint, but it's bigger than that. These Bantrids are trying to be seen as their own strong and like member of the Pact Worlds. And if we submit, send them into chaos of a civil war and they destroy what little there is there already in a fight, then that's lost, don't you think?
And Ziva just kind of stopped for a second.
War is bad, y'all.
Oh, God.
That's
a very good point, Wildy. Yes, thank
Thanks. I've been reading.
you. You're doing great.
Okay, I'm just imagining, like, if this was The Expanse, right? I am much more of a Captain Holden, and what he would do is blast that shit out. Everybody be damned, because it's the right thing to do. Everybody needs to know. And now I am free from political, leanings one way or the other. And that's my thing with her. Like, she's not entirely unbiased either.
Oh no, absolutely
not at all.
Not even a little.
She's like, you're working for Abadar Corp, so like, of course you want the information just for you.
I mean, she's
I'm just trying to play these people like they are,
I'm just talking it out, man.
Yeah, and to play devil's advocate here, she's not entirely wrong. Like, it will absolutely cause like a massive upheaval for the Bantrids. Like, all of the work that they have built it won't go away, but it will certainly become kind of unstable as everybody starts to question everything and like reevaluate, and now then more about their history. It's going to be super uncomfortable. It's going to be unsteady. It's going to be fractious, But we are not the guardians of this information. Like, Ziva's whole point right now is just to get all of the available information and then release it to the public.
Right. So
Right.
that's kind of your position now is like, let's put a pin on this. Let's gather more information.
Yeah.
And then deal with it later. Okay. All right. It's, some interesting quandaries here,
Yeah.
right? Some, giving you a chance to work on a little bit of political maneuvering,
Yeah.
and then with the rest of the group decide, you guys are high level. This is like, has huge galactic impact, right? Or at least planetary impact for the Bantrids. Not to mention that part of the information that you are going to be releasing is that there is a killer thought to be extinct, superpower, that may be waking up.
That's kind of what I wanted to get at, is that Orin, as all of these negotiations are going on, Orin has so little interest in the political quandaries of, the Bantrids. And in his mind, he's not even paying attention anymore. He's thinking about the potential of a civ threat. This is technology that, we recently just, rediscovered and realized the potential damage that something like that could do if the Civ are still out there, or even if remnants of their technology are still out there that can be used by another species who wanted to cause harm. In his mind, this is so much more important than whether or not these goobers think that they all need to go back to sleep, or that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, or whether or not they should have their own independent culture, or they should become, capitalist overlords. Like, none of that shit matters to him. He's thinking about the larger implications here. And so he's, for this whole conversation, just tuned out, kind of, in his own head, thinking about, I guess the larger impacts that could result from such a realization.
So to very quickly, I just want to get back to the political thing, just because if our other option, right, because we kind of identifying the factions, we're like, okay, 2 of these are really dangerous, and 2 of these are trying to do the right thing by their estimation, right? But even if we go with the 2 that we can take seriously and think we'll at least try to act responsibly, and we give the information to them and allow them to be sort of shepherds of that knowledge and release it as they will, automatically that creates enemies of the other 2 factions who will choose 100%. To disbelieve it, and just as likely might cause a civil war.
Information should not be guarded from the people. But to Zach's point, I think that we're all, the characters, are all very much caught up in because the Bantrids are here, right? They're here currently. They're struggling currently. They're trying to understand themselves and their situation currently. So that's where we're focusing. But I mean, Ziva in the back of her mind is, definitely kind of but what about them Civ? But she's super hyper focused on the Bantrid situation specifically. So if Orin were to say anything, that would spur a conversation, because right now she's only concerned about the information. And
he's still sitting on it. He's still working through it. But
might
for
be
what
something better done, not in the presence of.
He's certainly not going to bring it up to all these suits. He has no love for Abadar Corp.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, he just doesn't give a fuck about all of these political machinations. It's just not.
It's not him.
His scope and focus is on such a different level from normal people. I'm not trying to, that's just sort of how Orin is, right? He's just at this point in his life, he's just unconcerned with, the kind of the day-to-day musings of things. Cosmic mysteries and existential threats are certainly, much more of what he focuses his attention on.
I'm curious of what Kuiper thinks about all this, in the sense that, you're from the Vescarium, which is a society that was overtaken by stronger species, and they've all been assimilated into the Veskarium, and the Bantrids are specifically trying to avoid that, even though that's their actual history.
Nail on the head right there, dude. Nail on the head. I mean, that is currently what Kuiper would be considering, is the fact on, yes, this information he would believe is absolutely paramount, and regardless of what is going on with the Civ, because right now all we know is that we have a direction that we need to go that is tangible. The Civ, to our understanding, are an extinct species with leftover technology that could be abused by one or more factions. Okay, so the Bantrids, the information of the Bantrids culture is absolutely paramount for this discussion. So, in the fact that these cultures, I mean, like from a Veskarium point of view, cultures have been quashed, but still, that is something that needs to be addressed, and withholding it is just not in discussion. Now, I mean, withholding it to a certain to a limit, but like controlled release of it, but doing it through the wardens would be the best way. Makes us a neutral party, and yeah, I mean, there's.
To be fair, I think that would be an even more complicated quandary for you, because the Veskarium, their primary thing is conquest, and they're not really concerned with squashing out your culture. They let your culture flourish as long as you bend the knee.
Exactly, absolutely, and that's another thing, is that that's different from within the Pact Worlds, because Pact Worlds has not really indicated that there's really been any kind of secondary citizenry as there has been with the Veskarium.
Except androids.
With androids, but they have been liberated.
Yeah, there's been some progress made in that.
Yeah, there's progress that is being made. But yeah, absolutely, that is something.
What about...
certainly...
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm curious what Mike and Fell's thoughts are, on this, because I feel I have a pretty good idea of how Ziva feels. I know how Orin feels, certainly Kuiper, but I haven't really.
Well, I've already kind of said out loud in character, in that Fell is not entirely sure the best way to go about doing this, and in so many words, wanted to buy some more time so that we can sort it out, because right now and right here in front of these people is not the time to make the decision or make the call on how things play
Fell's
out.
kind of, I'm with you fellers on this one, huh?
Yes, but not. What do you mean by you fellers? Like
us.
The rest of the crew?
Yeah, the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
He's
He's very much this realizes the scope and the scale of how complex this issue is, and it can't just be solved or figured out in a single discussion. So hoping to be able to get more time so that the Xenowardens don't just here's the information that we've seen, Well,
yeah, okay. What about Mike? By the way, Heath, I noticed that Heath has changed his Zoom name to a Quest Proletariat, which is a fucking deep Fable 3 cut, by the way, and I appreciate the reference.
That's for you. It was for you. I'm an Quest Proletariat myself. Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Mike, I feel like Mike is really uncomfortable with this whole thing. He doesn't like having the responsibility of a people's truth and history, being in control of that. That's not our job. That's not what being the APA is, typically in his mind. So he's kind of torn about what's the right way to do this. He's also not very into political maneuverings, although he has opinions about the factions. He's a couple of these are all right and a couple of these are fucking not. But he realizes, as kind of I've said, if we release the information all at once, it could cause chaos. If we give it to the two factions that he kind of leans toward, it could cause equal and more defined, kind of lines of delineation and lead to a civil war in that way. So he doesn't like any of it. However, Titanium mic at its core is a protector, right? And the best thing we can do to protect the Bantrid people right now is not release this information until we find out more. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
like let's not pop shit off yet, even though he's, you know, one of the best in the world at popping shit off. Now is not the time as far as he's concerned. And I think he's torn even about that because he's like, that's more time that we are sort of shepherds of this information, and while we have no fucking right to it, you know?
Totally.
Well, it's a lot to think about. We've spent about an hour talking about it, which is very interesting.
Think that's
I find
good.
it, I find it fascinating. Couple things. Did you guys make sure to add your credits that you got paid for this job to your inventory, or whoever's keeping track?
Maybe. How many credits was it?
It was 25,000 to each of you.
Oh, okay. Well, let me check.
I did not, so let me go add that in there.
Yeah, so that's big. Also, Josh,
Yes, wait, maybe.
You did. Okay. Josh, a reminder
Yes.
that you can increase the tier of your ship to a tier 16. That's all good news. And the one thing that I did not tell you guys at the end of last episode, which I should have, which I'm going to tell you now at the end of this episode, is that you leveled up. And we'll see you next week to talk about it.
Hey, let's go.
Nice. Get it.
We leveled up from the political discussion.
Right.
We got like 10 XP from that. It was just enough to
Just enough
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. We'll see you.